I am Katherine. I am 35 years old. I have 2 children. My husband, John, is 40 years old. We have been married for 18 years. As I sit here writing this, my heart is heavy. This is the story of how I made a mistake that almost ruined my life and hurt the people I love the most. It's not easy to share, but I feel like it's time to face the truth and learn from it. John and I met when I was only 17. He was 22, mature and confident, with a smile that could light up the darkest room. From the moment we met, we knew we had something special. We fell in love quickly and married just a year later. We built a life together, full of love, trust, and laughter. But as the years went by, things started to change. Life got busy. John worked long hours at his job, trying to provide for the family, while I stayed home with our 2 kids. I loved my children more than anything, but I couldn't help feeling like something was missing. The days felt repetitive, and John and I grew apart. We didn't spend as much time together, and when we did, our conversations were mostly about the kids or bills. The spark we once had seemed to fade. Then one day I met someone. His name was Michael. He was charming, kind, and attentive in a way that I hadn't experienced in years. Michael worked at the gym where I recently started going to get some time for myself and stay healthy. He always greeted me with a smile and complimented my efforts. Over time, our casual chats turned into deeper conversations. He made me feel special, like I was more than just a mum or a wife. I began looking forward to seeing him. At first it was innocent, but as weeks turned into months, my feelings for Michael grew stronger. He was there for me in ways I felt John wasn't. I convinced myself that it was harmless, just a friendship. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. One afternoon, after a particularly hard day, I found myself at the gym pouring out my frustrations to Michael. He listened with such understanding, and before I knew it, we were sitting in his car talking for hours. When he leaned in and kissed me, I didn't pull away. In that moment, I felt alive, like I hadn't in years. But as soon as it happened, guilt hit me like a wave. The kiss turned into a secret relationship. We would meet after the gym, texting and calling each other in secret. Every time I saw Michael, I felt happy, but also filled with guilt. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I kept telling myself that I deserved to be happy too. I justified my actions by blaming John for not being there for me emotionally. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. One evening, John came home early from work. I was in the middle of a call with Michael when John walked into the room. I quickly ended the call, but the look on John's face told me he knew something was wrong. "Who were you talking to?" he asked. I froze. My heart raced, and for a moment, I considered lying. But then I saw the hurt in his eyes. I couldn't do it anymore. I broke down and told him everything. The kiss, the secret meetings, the texts, all of it. John's face turned pale. He didn't say a word, but I could see the betrayal in his eyes. For days, John barely spoke to me. The house felt cold, and I could tell our kids sensed that something was wrong. One night, John finally confronted me. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you do this to us?" Through tears, I tried to explain how lonely I'd felt, how I felt like we'd drifted apart. But no excuse could undo the pain I'd caused. John didn't yell or blame me. He just looked heartbroken. "I thought we were a team," he said. "I thought we could get through anything together." John suggested that we go to counseling. At first, I was hesitant. I didn't know if I deserved a second chance, but John said he wanted to try for the sake of our family. We started going to therapy, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Sitting in that room, facing the consequences of my actions, was painful, but it was also eye-opening. In therapy, I realized how much I'd taken John for granted. He'd been working so hard to provide for us, and instead of appreciating his efforts, I'd focus on what I felt was missing. John, too, admitted that he'd become distant and hadn't been as emotionally present as he should have. We both had a part to play in the state of our marriage. It wasn't easy, but we started to rebuild our relationship. We made an effort to spend more time together, to talk openly about our feelings and to appreciate each other. I cut all ties with Michael and focused on my family. There were days when the guilt felt overwhelming, but I kept reminding myself that I needed to move forward. Our kids were our biggest motivation. They didn't know the details of what had happened, but they could see the change in us. We were more present, more loving, and more united. Slowly but surely, the trust between John and me began to rebuild. Today, as I look at my family, I feel grateful. Grateful for John's willingness to fight for us, for the lessons we've learned, and for the love that has grown stronger despite the challenges. I know I made a terrible mistake, but I also know that mistakes don't have to define us. What matters is how we choose to make things right. If you're reading this and going through something similar, I want you to know that it's never too late to change. Be honest with yourself and the people you love. Don't take them for granted. And remember that love is about more than just feelings. It's about commitment, forgiveness, and growth. I've learned that the hard way, but I'm determined to keep growing and loving my family with all my heart.